Today we're being joined by potential WA Aflw Draftee Anjelique Raison. Angelique, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
No worries. What nicknames do you get at the club that you run with?
Oh, I have so many nicknames, but the main one would be Anjo, because Angelique's a bit long, so that is the main one.
That's fair. So tell us a bit about yourself, what type of player you are and what got you into footy.
I'm obviously a taller player and play across the field, and all the key position players. Have played a bit of ruck, a bit inside mid, played a bit everywhere really. Started footy in Auskick with all the younger guys, and then when they ever started to split off into the more serious teams, I had to give it up and pick up a new sport, and then rejoined footy when I started high school again to join the girls teams and then the East Fremantle.
It's good. So tell us a bit about that time at East Fremantle. How's that time been for you to then progress to be the WA state captain, which is obviously a pretty cool achievement to get straight away?
Yeah, it was awesome to be able to be captain, and I've started at East Frere when I was 15, and such a great club, and they've taken me as far as they can, and I owe them a lot. And then state this year to be able to be captain was an absolute honour and super exciting to do, and I love leading out those girls, and it was really cool.
So what got you into leadership? What got you into leadership to want to be able to do something like that as well, have that type of role along with playing, of course?
Honestly, it was probably a bit of a shock, to be honest. Wasn't expecting it at all. Only because I'm never really the loudest on field, but I guess it's the way a lead would be, probably by example, which would be the reason. But just kind of just happened and just went with it.
That's good. So obviously at East Fremantle you played with a Freo pair, Jai Flynn and Emily Fielder. How was it like playing with those girls? And are they giving you any advice in this period to heading into the draft period?
Yeah, they're both awesome human beings. Absolute ripper of players, and super cool to be able to play with them. I haven't spoken too much, but I think they'd probably just take what you get and just run with it.
That's good. So obviously you're winning a premiership at East Freo. What was that like? Because obviously you got a pretty interesting story around that with an injury. Tell us a bit about the premiership and then what happened around that.
Yeah, obviously winning the premiership was so good this year after losing on last year, and I just felt like we got the redemption back, and winning against Claremont was elite. So I had a couple of injuries actually. I did my ligament just in my thumb. I just about to go into finals, and then about a month or two after the grand final, I found out I had a ulcer in my stomach, and I had to get emergency surgery and all of that, and realised why I was sick for so long before that. Wasn't just making it up. Didn't make me like a wuss. It was nice. I would take that, but bit of an odd one there.
So is it true that you had to have, I think it was a few months or so of no contact or anything like that to try and heal from this scary moment?
Yeah. So I had the surgery in August, and I'm still not completely back to contact and everything yet, but I'm building it back up, and I've gone back to running and all of that. So slow process, but getting there.
So how was the under-18 championships for WA? How was that time for you to play with some of the best WA girls, but also compete against some top-line girls from the other states as well?
Yeah, it was awesome. South Australia is such a good team and such a good team to watch, and it was elite to be able to play them. Obviously, we didn't quite get the win, but I think it was just a good experience for all the younger girls, especially just to see the difference between the states, and being the best in WA is great, but there are lots of other states and lots of other players that you don't get to compare yourself directly with par on par. So I think that gives you a better understanding of where you sit and how good you actually are. I think it's a bit of a humbling experience as well, just to be able to go, okay, well, I may be really good at my own club, but there are so many other clubs, and South Australia is producing elite footballers at the moment. So compared to that, it's pretty good.
Who would you say is your toughest opponent you've had to match up on in the competition so far?
Toughest opponent. Claremont player would be Mackenzie Webb. We've trained together for state for weeks and weeks and weeks, so we've kind of figured out how each other play, and it's bloody annoying to have to think of new ways to keep beating her when we've trained together for months. But yeah, she'd probably be the most difficult one.
Obviously, you mentioned Mackenzie. She got that spot at the Eagles, so you obviously would have been pretty proud for her to get a spot there.
Yeah, absolutely stoked for her, and makes me look a little bit better. And now she's an AFLW player. She's not quite beating me up as much.
Yes, that's good. So obviously you can play in multiple positions, but if you were to say what is your best position, you feel you best play your best games at?
Best position would probably be a key forward. I obviously played a lot of deep key forward role this year, but I do love moving up the ground as well. But yeah, probably I guess a deeper key forward would be the main one.
So obviously with the draft in a month's time, how are you feeling heading into that period? Any nerves? I'm sure you know everyone generally is. How are you into that period? How are you feeling heading into the draft next or in December?
Yeah, plenty of nerves. Pretty calm though. I mean, whatever happens, happens, and I don't have too much control over it at this point. So if it means I got to move a east, then I got to move a east, or I'm just putting it in the back of my brain and just hopefully won't stress myself out too much just yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all exciting stuff.
So you mentioned that another state. So I'm assuming going off that you've nominated for the national drafts. As I know, in different to the men's club, you can nominate for a state or you can go in the national. So you pick the national.
Yeah, I picked national just to give me more opportunities.
Nice. So how's the talks been with clubs? Have you spoken to many clubs, and how's that experience been for you? I'm sure, again, pretty nerve-wracking at first, at least.
Yeah, definitely stressful. Meeting new people and having to put your best foot forward is always stressful. You don't want to make a bad first impression. But yeah, it's all been good. There's been quite a few clubs over east, which is why I'm going national. And yeah, everyone seems to have the same philosophies and all they want to do with it. So yeah, it's been really cool.
That's good. Well, how you don't have to say who, but how was the first experience meeting the first club that you met? Obviously, compared to the other ones, how did they rank in terms of the first person you met? Obviously, it'd be the very first one, and then does it get a bit easier the more you meet, or the more times you meet?
Yeah, definitely easier. You can kind of prepare for the questions. You're not just kind of guessing what they're going to be, and all the questions are relatively similar. There's always a couple of weird ones in there just to throw you off a little bit, but yeah, everything else, the first one's definitely the most stressful, and it gets a lot easier from it.
I was going to mention that you mentioned about recruiting questions. What's one of the weirdest recruiting type of questions that you've had given so far? Because obviously in the past I've asked people and they've said, if you were a car, what car would you be? Has there been anything off the cuff like that?
Oh, nothing like that. That's a bit different. No, I've had if you can invite anyone dead or alive to dinner, who would it be and why? That'd probably be the most non-related question.
I've heard that one. People have said that one as well there. Some interesting ones they pop up with. How was your thoughts on your season overall for WA and in for East Fremantle as well? How did you feel you went, and overall heading into the draft, how confident would you be after the season you've had?
Yeah, season felt good for the most part. Obviously had some ups and downs with everything else, but generally pretty happy with it. Would have loved not to be sick for the state games. Would have been great. But yeah, I can't do anything about it now, so it's just hoping for the best. And I wouldn't say I'm confident to get drafted. I don't have any expectations whatsoever. Whatever happens, happens, and I'm happy to go back and play Waffle next year because Waffle's still a really good comp. And yeah.
What team did you grow up barracking for?
I grew up barracking for Freo.
Freo, thoughts on their season this year in the men's and women's comps?
Yeah, I mean, being a Freo supporter, especially for the men's, you know that they haven't had too many successful years, so them seeing them get better is super exciting. You get to actually celebrate wins and stuff and not be bagged by Eagle supporters, which is always nice. The women's are also getting better, and you can see the skill level and all of that improving, which is really, really cool to see.
Is there any particular players in the men's or women's comps that you try to model your game off and try and, take some weapons of theirs to try and implement into your game?
Yeah, definitely. The women's, there's so many great players, but if I use the forward craft, I'd probably like to hopefully model my game around Bonnie Toogood. She's an elite forward, big leader, and big key forward too, which is what I hope to be in the future.
Yeah. Who would you say is your favourite teammate at East Freo or in the WA side?
Favorite? Oh, I love Miley Leach. Legend of a human. Legend of a full high forward. Absolutely. Forever human.
That's good. Daniel Ponder's goal in the AFLW. Do you recall that goal, the start of the kick from the centre square?
Yeah, I do. Huge goal.
Yeah. Do you think you would be able to replicate that moment, or a teammate that could replicate that, or thinks they can?
Oh, I don't know. It depends how windy it would be. It'd have to be a lot of wind to kick it that far, and definitely a good bounce. But
definitely, that's fair. Yeah. Any coach's pet?
Coach's pet. I don't think we have a coach's pet, to be honest. Yeah, everyone's. Yeah, I don't think we have that one. What's the best goal you think you've ever kicked? From a distance, from a boundary, an opposite foot, any check size, any dribbles, anything like that? Normally a drop punt. Just big drop punt goals. Yeah, probably just distance wise. I think I kicked one from 55 out last year, and it just happened to go on, which is always nice.
What do you think is the best individual game you've ever played in?
Oh, best individual game. Probably last year's grand final, which we lost, which is disappointing. But yeah, probably from an individual point, last year's grand final.
Who do you feel is the best player in the AFLW competition? Obviously, because it's, at least for this year, it's pretty even, because the medal could go to a bunch of names. You've got Garner, Riddell, Marinoff, Kate Hoare. There's plenty of names up there, Laura Gardner as well.
Yeah. Oh, there's so many. I reckon this year, probably Kate Hoare. She's been outstanding this year for Melbourne, and yeah, probably Kate Hoare.
Who do you feel is going to win the AFLW Premiership this year? Because obviously yesterday Melbourne got, well, to some might be a shock loss to the Roos, considering it's in 3 weeks. Who feels going to end up winning the Premiership at the end of the season?
Yeah, I'd love Sydney to win it. That'd be such a cool story. But yeah, if not Sydney, probably North Melbourne.
Do you play any other sports outside of footy or around this?
Yeah, I have played basketball for pretty much as long as I can remember, and I've only just given it up this year to focus on footy for 2024.
Is there a teammate you've been impressed by at East Freo and WA that doesn't get talked about as much, that you feel that should get a bit more talking about and a bit more talk?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, Miley Leach is obviously she's on the smaller side of the spectrum for AFL players, but her skills and her ability to compete in the air is one of a kind, especially for her height. And yeah, she does need to get talked about more, because she does a lot that I don't think it gets hyped up as much about. But yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So I've got 2 more questions for you. So a real pleasure you coming on. Rising star tip for this year in the AFLW. Obviously, there's probably a few names. You got Ali Morford, you got Zali Goldsworthy, Ella Roberts, Jazz Fleming. Any of those girls that you feel could end up pipping that award, or could there be a tie?
Oh yeah, it could be a tie. Oh, I'd love Ella to get it. That'd be super cool for her to get that. So I hope she wins it.
I mean, all 4 of those girls have been very good this year. And the final one for pressure coming on: mark or goal of the year? Which one would you prefer?
Probably mark of the year. Mark of the year.
That's good. Good answer. Anjelique, I really appreciate you coming on. All the best for the draft coming up. Hopefully dreams get realised and you have a long, successful career at whatever club that is. A real pleasure you coming on, and all the best.
Thank you very much.
Nice.